Welcome to Behind the Ops, where we uncover the systems, leadership, and strategy behind businesses that don't just run, they perform. Today's guest, Dr. Kevin Kostka, is the definition of a practitioner turned operator. As a founding member of Summit Physical Therapy, he spent nearly 2 decades building a business that blends science, service, and scalable systems, transforming how physical therapy is delivered across Chattanooga. Kevin isn't just a clinician. He's an architect of growth. From mapping processes and defining metrics to developing people and expanding market reach, his leadership proves that operational excellence isn't just about efficiency, it's about sustainability. With deep roots in sports medicine, teaching at the University of Tennessee, and years spent balancing patient outcomes with business performance, Kevin brings a rare perspective: how to grow a purpose-driven organization without losing its human touch. In today's episode, we'll go beyond the treatment table and explore what it takes to lead, measure, and scale a healthcare practice from the inside out. This is Behind the Ops, and today we're going behind the scenes with Dr. Kevin Kostka, a founder who proves that better systems lead to better care and a better business. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. How are you this morning?
I am great. Thank you for joining me on the show today. I appreciate it very much. Let's start out maybe with giving everyone a little bit of context around who you are and what your company is.
Absolutely. So by license, I'm a physical therapist. Received my doctorate in 2004. Have been practicing since 2003. I initially, early on, I was full steam ahead for in the physical therapy world and in regards to treatment, and began working closely with medical doctors to try to improve my skill set. Ended up writing 3 books, one on the shoulder, one on the lower back, and then one on the hip. I also published a paper on the distal bicep repair with a surgeon, and was really tracking down that road. I wanted to be able to help as many people as I could. So when I continued down that path of treatment in the physical therapy world, I realized, and like most entrepreneurs and most people that start their own business, they feel like they can do it better than the company that they're working for.
Of course.
Right? So being young and dumb, like most of us were, and thought we
Yeah,
knew it all, get 4
of
degrees
course.
in 6 years, and I'm young and I know it all. I have 0 experience. So I
Yep.
decided to start my own practice in 2007 with somebody I went to high school with and went to physical therapy school with. So we started in 2007, right as the housing bubble was about to
Mm,
burst,
yep.
and the banks weren't loaning money to anybody unless you had MD at the end of your name. And
Gotcha.
so we tried to go down that road, and that didn't work. That road didn't work, so we had to be creative, and we went the old school approach and did concierge physical therapy. So what we did there is we would go to people's homes and treat them. So if they were business owners, if they were stay-at-home moms, if they were kids, if they were just kids that didn't want to go to a normal brick and mortar clinic, we started our treatments there. And what we found out is that while I was at church one morning with my youngest, who was maybe 2 or 3 at the time. And you know how kids are kind of at that point. You leave them there, they're crying all the time. I'm a young parent, I don't know any different. So I'm like, I'm going to stay in with her in the classroom today while my wife went into the service. And little did I know that one of the MD's medical assistants was in there just chatting. I mean, you're in there for an hour and your head's on a swivel, and so you're just kind of talking, and find out that they were not happy with the home health care that they were receiving. So set me up with an appointment with the doctor. They tried us out and liked our services better than what they were utilizing. So that kind of got us into the assisted living phase
Okay.
of our business. And so we started going into assisted livings, and instead of getting the normal home health treatment of 15 minutes, 30 minutes in and out, they were getting a full hour with us. So the medical directors and the executive directors there at the facility liked our end product. And we can talk about what a product is later on when we talk about operations, right?
Sure.
So they liked our end product, and we began going down that road and building quite a bit of a reputation in the assisted living realm, and was able to grow and scale that part of the practice. By heart, I always wanted a brick and mortar. I wanted to be in orthopedics.
Sure.
That's what sports medicine, that's where my passion was. So we were able to stack enough money up and open our first brick and mortar in 2009
Nice.
and speed it up to today. Now we have 11 brick and mortars
Wow.
and working on a couple other practices as well in the state of Tennessee and moving into the state of Georgia.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
along that pathway, I mean, I went into the schools. I went into the college rankings and was teaching. So I taught biomechanics. I taught shoulder and elbow since I'd written a book on the shoulder. I taught shoulder and elbow in anatomy and anatomy lab, and was trying to be able to help people, help students to be able to
Right.
help more people. And again, young and dumb, and didn't really see eye to eye with most of the students. They just wanted an answer the way that I remember it from my perspective, probably a different perspective on the other side of the
Of
room,
course.
right? Uh, so sitting on that other side of the room, to me, they just wanted the answer. Kevin, what's the answer? And I'm like, well, it's in our world, it's gray. Like you
Right.
can read the book, you can read the print, the black and white in the book and kind of get an idea, but it isn't until you come and talk to Christian, until you come and get your hands on her, until you feel,
Sure.
till you see, till you're able to assess. And then your brain starts going down all these algorithms of, oh, it looks like this. Let's go this way. Does it do this? Or no, it doesn't do this. And then it starts going down this way. And so they
Sure.
just really wanted an answer. I was not mature enough at the time to take a step back and try to help them through it. So it more or less frustrated me more than anything. Looking back at it, I'd love to get back into it now that I have a lot more experience
Right.
and be able to help them see things a little differently. And maybe I have enough experience now to explain things a little differently, more so
Right.
than just get frustrated because their brains couldn't keep up with mine.
So transitioning from clinician, right? Because obviously, I mean, and from me, and I don't know much about medicine or physical therapy, but um, transitioning from practitioner to business owner and operations guru, let's talk a little bit about what was happening in your business when you started realizing, oh, maybe our ops aren't working, or maybe we need to kind of look at some of these operational things.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when you know your purpose in life, I knew my purpose in life was to help as many people as I possibly could. I do that by extending my arm through physical therapy and helping people
Sure.
get out of pain or get back to work, sport, whatever that may be. So, as we continued to grow in our community, we ended up getting nominated through our Chamber of Commerce for the Small Business Award.
Nice.
So
Congratulations.
in Yeah, thank you. So in 2015, we actually won Small Business Award for medium-sized business for employees 21 that had employees from 21 through 50 employees. So we
Okay.
ended up winning that. When we won that, our phones, everybody kept started knocking on our door, right? And so what we looked at from that point of view was, hey, I want to help people. I can only go in the clinic and see 15 people a day. So I could see 60 people, 70 people a week.
Right.
And that's all I could help, right? So what we came to the conclusion of is how do we help more people? That's our purpose. That's our goal. But if
Right.
I can only help 15 people a day, I got to get everything out of my head, down on paper, create processes, create procedures,
Sure.
and basically duplicate myself. So that was the thought process. We'd always, me and my partner would always say, man, if only we had, only if we could duplicate ourselves and put ourselves out there, life would
Right.
be easy. So that's where we took that idea and like, all right, well, how do we do that? Let's get everything down on paper. And so once we started getting everything down on paper, people started knocking on our doors. We're like, hey, we are going to implode if we do not get the right procedures in place
For
and be
sure.
able to deliver a good product over and over again. So just like if in order to have a product, it has to be of good quality.
Right.
People have to want it, and you have to be able to duplicate it. So you
Right.
need those three.
Predictable.
Yeah, you need to have
Yep.
those three things in order for people to keep coming back. Because yeah, people want physical therapy, they need it.
Of course.
But if you don't provide a good product, say you're in a restaurant, right? You don't make a good pizza, people aren't going to come back and get that pizza.
Correct.
So so we started really trying to hone in on how we could deliver a really good product. So in order for me to be able to do that, I had to pull out of practice.
Okay.
I didn't go from seeing 70 patients to 0 patients. I had to
Right. No.
gradiently work myself out. So I just started with 4 hours on a Tuesday morning, closed my office door, didn't let anybody come. What I realized is just because my office door was closed didn't mean people weren't going to come in and ask me questions.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
just slows you down, right? You get in a groove, you get your stream of your flow going,
Yeah.
and somebody comes and knocks on the door, you got to put it down, answer the
The
question.
record skips. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to put a do not disturb on there. You remember that book, The One Thing,
Yep.
right? So the one
Yep.
thing they said, hey, put this on the door, so put this on the door so nobody comes and interrupts you. So did that, started being able to get things down. All right, those 4 hours then turned into 8 hours. Then I was able to take an entire Tuesday off, and then it was a half a day on Thursday, including Tuesday.
Sure.
Eventually, I was able to get everything down, train somebody, apprentice someone to be able to take over the role that I was doing in order to
Okay.
help to pull myself out and play more of the operations role. Call it what you want, vice president of operations, uh,
Sure. But
chief operating officer. It's just a title, right? What
yeah,
matters is that
it's
you're
getting done.
able to get the processes down and have
Right.
everybody else working on those.
Absolutely. And so in those operating models, what is one of the first processes that you remember kind of having in place and watching get executed?
Yeah, great question. So the first person you see when you go into, again, people don't understand, or maybe they do understand, but something that everybody can relate to is going into a restaurant, right? The first
Hmm.
person you see is the hostess. In
Right.
my world, the first person that you see is our front desk. So that's the very first process that we implemented. What do you do when somebody either walks in the front door or you pick up the phone and answer the phone?
Sure.
So we wrote a script for what it is that you say whenever somebody calls you on the phone. Hi, this is Christian from Summit Physical Therapy. Pause, let them process. Oh, I called the right person. How may I
It's
help
so
you?
true.
Right.
Right.
And then so we would drill that with our front desk people to make sure that they could do that. Hey, if somebody walks in the door, you're the first person they see. I want you to stand up and I want you to greet them and welcome them into the facility, into our
Love that.
basically it's like into your home, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm from the South and I want everybody to be customer service oriented. I want
Of
everybody to
course.
be polite and feel welcomed when they come into my facility. So that right there was the very first product or process that we worked on.
I love that. So you have some processes going, you have a product right at the end game. Let's talk for a second about what is your product? What defines your product?
Yeah, so I can in my world I began to organize everything. So organize into an executive division, an admin division, like personnel division. a
Sure.
marketing division, a finance, a production, quality, marketing. So all
Yeah.
of those divisions kind of flow down and create an entire product for my organization. And each of the
Nice.
products and each of those divisions, each division has its own product. And then my final product, you've probably heard of that before too. Your final valuable product has to be
Yep.
valuable to others.
Yes.
So that final valuable product just added in each of those divisions. If
Okay.
we talk about just my production division, where it's a PT, it's patients no longer complaining of the initial complaint that they came into the door with.
Nice.
Right.
That works.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's the thought process. Hey, at the end of the day, that's what our PTs want to produce. Somebody that's no longer complaining of that initial complaint. Because, yeah, it could be pain, it could be weakness, it could be balance, it could be a lot of different things in my world. So
Right.
that's why we went down the road of patients no longer complaining of that initial
So if
complaint.
you take all those divisions and then you map out their products and each product contributes to the end product, where did you map in or where do you look at your customer journey? How does that customer flow through those product delivering people or organizations and what does that look like?
Man, you really know what you're doing. So So we actually start, right? You start with that executive division, and that
Sure.
executive division lays out the strategy, lays out the initiatives, lays out the plan, right? And then you
Yeah.
move in, we move, you can't have a physical therapy world without personnel, without PTs, without clinicians, without
Correct.
front desk. You can't then move into the next phase if you don't have somebody collecting the money or sending out the insurance bills.
Sure.
And then you can't do that if you don't have PTs in there actually treating people. You can't do that if you go into that quality division. It has to be of good quality. And then you
Right.
can't do that if you don't have good branding and good public relations out there. So it was basically that patients that would refer a friend and family member. That means that
Okay.
we have a good quality product because now they want to tell
100%.
other people about it, that are no longer complaining of their initial complaint,
Right.
that their doctor would then refer others to us, and that are fully paid,
Right.
because that's important. Because some
It
people
is.
can just walk in, walk out, or it's like gas, right? We always use this example. People want to just walk up and go back and go back and get treated and not pay and get a bill later on. But we have to use that example of, hey, when you go to the gas station, you can't just start pumping gas without
No.
putting in your credit card. So
Right.
so that's why we have to get fully paid individuals, because otherwise, in the medical field, as you know, I mean, you hear it on the news all the time, our reimbursement continues to decline. I can't raise my prices of, like, people can raise their prices of pizza, or
Right.
in the construction world, when back in 2020, I could build a new clinic for 50 grand. Now it costs
Right.
me 150 to 250 grand.
It's
I can't do
insane.
that. It's a
Right.
crazy world, and it's
Right.
broken.
It is.
So my reimbursement declines every year by 1 to 3%.
Wow.
It's yeah. So I
That's
say
crazy.
that to say that you have to have your processes dialed in, because
Million
it matters if you're profitable versus not being profitable. And it's
Right.
all those little things that matter to to determine if you're going to be profitable or if you're going to lose money that month and have to dip into a line of credit.
Right. Which is not what you want to do, right? No matter what.
Never, never,
So if you're
not
looking,
for that.
yeah, no, especially not now in the world. So if you're looking at that customer journey map and you're having all these different departments that are adding into that and making the process happen and occur, how are you measuring that? How do you know that that process is working? What are you looking at? Is it by department? Is it by person? Is it all of the above?
Yeah, it's all of the above. So you can't, and you've heard this before probably as well. You can't manage what you don't measure. And
1,000,000%.
so you can take any book that's out there. I've read a ton of them,
Yep.
uh, but you start again with a main metric. Some people call them lag metrics. Call it what you want: main
Right.
metric, lag metric, and then you can then break that metric down into sub metrics or lead measures, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
and so you know which levers to push and pull. And you always want to look at, if you notice a number going up or going down, so we'll table it, we'll put them into a table initially, but a table doesn't really give me a good idea of what's going on. Can you
Right.
show it on a conditional formatting in Excel, green light, yellow light, red light?
Sure.
Certainly, but that doesn't show you trends,
Right.
right? And so you have to see trends and you have to see what happens with that graph. Now,
Sure.
even going more in depth with that, you have to know the difference between what is noise, just the normal up and down of things, right?
Right.
Versus what a signal is. Like, hey, I'm above the median 6, 7 times. Now I need to remeasure my median. Something has changed.
Right.
And to answer your question, that's what you look at. You look at those signals to determine if something has changed, and has it changed. And for the up part, has it changed in the person or the process? Our
Yep.
philosophy is we always want to look at the process first. We don't want to blame somebody, a person.
Absolutely.
You want to
Correct.
look at the process. You want to say, hey, did something change with the process? And then if it changed with the process, that's when you start going back to the person that is responsible for that portion of the process. But
Right.
you don't know that unless you measure something and unless you put it onto a trend graph, and then you know how to look for what those signals are. And there's a lot of ways to look for those signals.
For sure. So when you're looking at, so let's say for a second, I'm going to take two stories from that one story, but the first one is you're looking at that trend line and you're looking at these things happening and you're like, oh yeah, it's not the process. Process is pretty lock solid in this particular instance. So we're looking at people and culture. So how do you make sure that you have the right people and culture in the place to deliver that single expectation in that part of your process or client journey map?
Yeah, so I think that even is a two-step question there, because you talk about culture and then you talk about the process. So
Right.
the way I would even look at it would be taking a step back. Remember that HR division that we spoke about?
Yep.
We have our HR division set up from an interview process when we reach out to people. And I could go a long way with this, but to shorten the story, the those questions are designed around our company values. And
100%.
so we have and they're posted on our website. And I promote this to everybody I talk to in the PT space too, is that you have to have company values. And why are company values important? They're important because that's how you hire people. That's how you, I don't want to say fire, but that's how you hire
A
and fire
million percent.
people. That's how you make decisions on your strategies, because if your foundation isn't your values, then your strategy isn't going to stick. That's
Right.
how you treat your teammates
Hmm.
within the organization. That's how you treat your customers, and then that's how you want to treat people in the community as
Right.
well. So if everything that you're doing is based on your company values, if you hire somebody based on those company values, then you're more than likely to stick to that strategy and know that they have the right intention behind their their mode of operation.
Million percent. So
But
in
that
your
doesn't answer
world
your
where
question.
you're, well, no, there's a lot of ways we can go with that, right? But I want to stay with your people for a minute. When you're
Yeah.
looking at, so one of the things that I talk a lot about with a lot of entrepreneurs is how did I miss this, right? And so in your world, you do have to have, so in a lot of worlds, there's a skill set you have to have, a hard set of skill sets. There's also the soft skills that you need in certain industries. And sometimes you can hire more on the soft side than the hard side. For you, I would imagine it's got to be pretty close to a 50-50 split. You've got to have, from a lot of your positions, right? They have to have a skill set. They also have to have some of the softer skills. So how are you finding balancing that? How do you work through balancing the fact that they do have to have, on the therapist side, they've got to have hard skills and academics behind them, and on the softer skills, trying to get that in with your culture. How do you balance that out?
Yeah. So the one thing that I have learned in my 25 years, 20, 23, 25 years of being in this field is it has to do with your EQ, your soft skills.
Mhm.
So when I put a therapist at clinic A, And that therapist does not have those soft skills, if they're not likable, if they can't get that patient to come back,
Right.
then that clinic is not going to be successful. I have tried and I call it alphabet soup. So you may go to the doctor and you see all these different credentials at the end of their name,
Mhm.
or if you've ever been to physical therapy, you see all these weird little letters at the end of their name. I call that alphabet soup. And if anybody's out there that's got alphabet soup at the end of your name, this is just an observation and it's just my perspective, and you have your own perspective.
Yes.
But what I have found is that those are the clinicians that just have that academia side to them, really have a difficult time getting their patients to complete their plan of care and have them from not having to come back in another 6 weeks because
Right.
their injury has come back. So the the soft skills and the EQ, being likable is one of the most important qualities that we have. The ability to be able to communicate, which is one of our core values, to be able to look somebody in the eye, be intentional, be purposeful, be proactive, really look deep into I don't want to say their past, but what really caused the core root of their problem that you may not find out on the first visit, but you're on my table and I'm chatting you up for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off for you. You're like, oh yeah, now I remember what I did. Now I
Yes.
remember that it was when I was swimming and went and laid out, whatever it was. Uh,
Right.
that's when they find it. But to me, it's always that I really look for that EQ and that ability to carry on those conversations and be likable by somebody. Because the other things, the other skills, the managerial skills, I can teach you that. I
Yeah.
can teach you those things on, hey, I
Yeah.
can, because there's a process to all those. I can teach you that skill set. But the other skill set from communication, that takes a lot of effort from the other person's side to be able to be intentional, to put that phone down and keep it from opening it up every now and then to look at
Right.
social media or whatever it may be these days. That to me is super important, to be present, right?
Right.
I tell people this all the time. Hey, be present. You may have two or three people coming in at the same time, and you have to juggle all. It's like you're in a restaurant, right? It, you're in a restaurant. I use that analogy because I used to serve when I was in college to
Of course.
help pay
Yeah.
for tuition. Uh, but that is so relatable to
Hmm.
the medical field because you're hustling all day long and you don't have
Right.
time to pull your phone out and start doing whatever
No.
you're doing, because
Right.
then you're going to lose track of everything else that's going on and you're going to
Sure.
miss being able to assess certain things. So that soft skill set, to me, it's almost a 70-30. I can teach you those other skills. I can teach you
Sure.
how to do a fancy how to move a joint or how to do X, Y, and Z,
Right.
or an exercise philosophy. I can
Yep.
teach you that all day long and catch you up to speed on biology. That's easy. It's the soft skills that are the harder ones to catch people up on, because some people are
Absolutely.
introverts versus extroverts. Some people are
Right.
good at communicating. Some people can't look you in the eye. Some people give off bad body language. Some people just have that resting face that they're not supposed
Yes.
to. Right?
Yes.
Uh, so, so to
Yes.
me, it's a lot of those characteristics that we really
Agreed.
look for.
Right. So you're coupling all these things, right? You've got some procedures, you've got some people in place, you've got the measure and the metrics. So now you're ready to scale, right? So looking back at scaling, what are some of the lessons you learned? Some of the things you would offer for future? How do people grow?
Yeah. So just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
100%.
So
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
it's a matter of finding the right market match. We've all heard that before. You
Right.
have to your product has to match that particular market, and that market has to need it, and has to, not only do they have to need it because they may not know that they need it, but they
Right.
also have to want it. So it's
Right.
that need and that want as well. So going into a new market, you really have to do your due diligence. The one thing are those fixed expenses. You
Mm.
have to make sure you know your fixed expenses, because it
Right.
can be set up from failure from the very beginning. Just because you should doesn't mean you can't. You could have, in my situation, a doctor come up to you and say, "Hey, I want you to rent space right beside me, and I will send you patients that are right here because I like your product."
Right.
That doesn't, just because they say it doesn't mean that they're going to follow through with it, because their processes on their end may not match what you need to make that work. You can have all the meetings you want, but if their office manager or whoever runs their practice isn't good at that communication skill or creating new operating procedures,
Absolutely.
it can really mess things up, and you can be in a bad spot. Also, if your rent is too high, at making a number up here, $40 a square foot versus,
Right.
hey, my target is 20, but this is a really cool place. It's a class A space and it's right over here.
Yes.
But again, if you don't have those processes in our field, if you don't, it's all the little levers that you have to pull. And if you aren't doing all those little things, then you're going to lose money that month.
Right.
So for me, it's having those fixed expenses in place. A, B, having the right clinician move into that environment. Hey, do they have relationships? Can they communicate? Have they done this before?
Yeah.
So having the right therapist. Then you got to find the right space. Hey, is it easy to get in and out of? Is there a red light there that they can pull in and out of? Uh, is there enough place for signage right there? Is there enough
Sure.
traffic going by? A lot of our stuff is through referrals,
Right.
but as we start moving away from that, you get a lot of Google reviews, or a lot of
Yeah.
people just searching out, hey, I've got hip pain, what do I do? And then they can find you on the internet. So being able to have your grandmother or even yourself be able to pull in easily without having to cross 3 lanes of traffic
Right.
at 8 a.m. in the morning
Yeah.
makes it a viable location.
Sure. So if you're looking back at the scaling and the fact that you've gone from one to what, 11 or 12 now brick and mortars, when you look back at that, what's probably the hardest operational lesson you've learned?
I would say it's a combination of things. One, opening a clinic location without having the right person in place.
To run it. Gotcha.
You put the wrong person in there to manage your store,
Yeah.
it's going to fall
It
apart,
hurts.
right? You've
Right.
seen all, and nothing against some of the big lots or whatever, but you see some
Right.
of them are successful, and you see some of, or the dollar store or whatever it may be. Go
Sure.
into any store, go into any restaurant, and you can see some are super successful and some aren't. And to me, it's the customer service part and having the right person in there running the show.
For sure. For sure. So what's something looking forward? What's on your horizons? What are some of the things you're looking forward to, and maybe even some of the things that are kind of scary going forward?
Yeah, so if we can just start with that last one, the scary thing moving forward is just the uncertainty of the healthcare environment. Insurance continues to go up. The $1,000 and $2,000 deductibles that we used to see are no longer there. Everybody has a $3,000 or a $5,000 deductible while they're still paying $1,200 a month for a family at an 80-20 rate. So they have to pay that $3,000 first, or that $5,000 first, before insurance even pays a little bit of that. But we can only focus on what we can control, right? So it's really out of our control. Yeah, you can write to your congressmen and congresswomen and do all those things.
Right.
I'm sure I can speak for a lot of people. Do we have a lot of confidence in that? It's
No.
hard to say, right? I'll just read your body language on that. Uh,
No.
but yeah, so we only can control what we can control. So
Sure.
that's a matter of improving our customer service,
Okay.
improving our end product, and improving the daily lives of our team members, of our patients, and being the best partner we possibly can. And that's part of our mission, right? We want to be the best. We want to be the best PT practice in Tennessee. We want to be the best employee in Tennessee, and we want to be the best community partner in Tennessee. And so we have that mission, and continuing to strive to achieve that mission is what is exciting, to be able to wake up in the morning and use it. Not when the alarm clock goes off, right? You may have heard this before. It's not an alarm clock; it's an opportunity clock. You
I
have an
like that.
opportunity to go out and help. Gets me choked up. You have the opportunity to go out and help people, and that's why we're here on this planet, right? Is to serve. How do we serve? We serve by helping people get back to their daily lifestyles.
I love that. So I am definitely stealing that, Kevin. I'm going to use my opportunity clock from this point forward. Thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for sharing all that you shared and the insights and the ups and the downs, and we appreciate it very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity to be able to spread my perspective and my point of view. It's not the right one. It's just what I have seen and what I have learned. So hopefully that's able to help some other entrepreneurs or other people that are looking to improve their organizations.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.